Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. And today's video, as you can tell from the makeup look I'm wearing, I'm recording this on the same day as the other video you just saw the other day. But today I thought I could show you my Sleek eyeshadow palette collection. So Sleek is a brand that I definitely started off with when I started buying makeup a couple of years ago. And yeah, it's just an OG brand for me, and I just think they deserve a little bit more love. Not enough people are talking about Sleek. They are a UK drugstore brand, in case you didn't know, and they do very affordable eyeshadow palettes. They retail around the like 10, 11 euro mark, and they have just recently discontinued quite a few of their iDivine eyeshadow palettes, sadly, because there were a couple of really nice ones in their range. But I just thought I could talk you through what I have in my collection and show you which Sleek eyeshadow palettes I have. I definitely have a couple that are quite unusual because back in the day, Sleek was doing a lot of different limited edition collections, and I have a few of those as well, and I won a couple in giveaways and all that. So I just thought it would be interesting to take you through and show you my Sleek eyeshadow palette collection, which is right here in the drawer behind me. So let's get into the drawer. All right, so this part of my drawer, this is one of my eyeshadow drawers. I keep all of my Sleek palettes. One thing that's great about Sleek is that, as the name would suggest, the packaging is very sleek of these. So as you can see, these are very thin, so they are great for taking with you when you go somewhere or anything like that. I have quite a few here, but I'm not sure if you can see that right here. But I also have this. I'm not sure if this was limited edition. I'm not sure if you can still get this. But this is the Rockstars collection Hidden Gems. And this is in 048. And this is what this palette looks like. It's a sort of very shimmery, very sort of Urban Decay Moon Dust inspired type of palette. And I bought this over the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow palette. These are very nice and shimmery. You get an array of color. Something similar to this, if you can no longer get this, are the e.l.f. palettes. I'm not sure what those are called anymore, but e.l.f. also does these like all shimmer palettes with like 6 or 7 shades. And they also do some color schemes that are a little bit more interesting. So I keep all of these Sleek palettes facing up because they have, some of them have names on the right-hand corner of the palette. And what I've done to mimic that is put the names of each of these palettes on a sticker as well, because as you can see, if you have many like this, it becomes very difficult to tell them apart. But I just have a little sticker so that I know which one is which. And this is the first one at the front right here. This is the Nautical collection Calm Before the Storm. So I've shown you this palette before. This is a very nice blue toned, aqua toned palette. You get a couple of nice neutrals, and this is one of the very first Sleek palettes, I think, where they started doing a bit more mattes. So that was great. You get this really nice turquoise and aqua shade. So some greens, some blues, some neutrals. This is a very nice palette for doing a very blue toned, green toned look. Since the packaging of each one of these are of course quite the same, I'm just going to show you the inside from now on. This is the Garden of Eden palette, and again, you have a row of neutrals at the top and then some greens at the bottom. So again, a nice color story here. These greens are amazing, and that's the reason why I got this palette. The only shade that's a bit of a meh shade is this like soft pastel lime green. It looks very stunning in the pen, but it's quite sheer when it applies. However, over a white base, you can make it work. As you can see, this palette has quite a lot of shimmer, which is a reason why not everybody likes Sleek, but I don't mind putting a bit of shimmer in the crease. Now, this has to be one of my favorite Sleek palettes, and as you can see, this is well loved. This is the Sunset palette, and again, a very interesting color story here. This was one of the very first eyeshadow palettes that Sleek ever came out with. So if you were ever trying to blame anybody for that whole warm tone trend, it's not Morphe, it's Sleek, because this has been out for years. It was only just recently discontinued, sadly enough. You get this really bright orange, which is so stunning. And this is really nice for doing like a sunset look. You have some nice cranberries, some browns, you get a matte black. You get these like more like softer, lighter shades as well, so you can also make this every day. This is a really nice palette, and with the blue, you can very easily do like a nice pop of color on the waterline as well. So this is a very stunning palette. So this may look a little bit similar to that, but this is the On the Horizon palette. And as you can see, my favorites are very much around the blues and the greens and the oranges that they do, because those are some of the best shades that Sleek does. Again, you get some greens, some blues in here, some oranges. Again, a very nice palette if you want to do some sort of sunset look. You got some nice neutrals in here as well to tie the look together. This is just a very stunning palette. You get 1, 2, 3, only 3 mattes though. So again, as with most Sleek palettes, not a lot of mattes. So now we're getting into the palettes that have a bit more of like a purple undertone to it. This is the Enchanted Forest eyeshadow palette, and this is also stunning. It has some really nice plums and cranberries. This matte teal is absolutely stunning. You get some silvers, some more blues. So this is very sort of like more on the cool side of things, but I quite like this. This is very nice for a sultry look, in which you can add a bit more color to it. So that's not just like a straight up gray or a straight up black or anything like that, but it makes for a nice sultry, sexy eye. Speaking of purples, this is quite possibly the most purple eyeshadow palette they've ever done. This is the Vintage Romance, and this is very nice if you want to do like 1920s inspired makeup, because these kind of tones with like blacks were all the rage back then. Maybe a bit of a gold if you want to go more 1930s or 1940s inspired. So I guess that the name of this palette definitely makes sense. You only get 1 matte in this, which is a bit of a shame, but these 3 different golds are really stunning. And as you can see, I've used this quite a bit. Especially these golds at the top are really nice. I like this one especially because it is that sort of like antique-y gold with a hint of green to it. And those are the types of golds that I love the most. So that is Vintage Romance. Next up is a very pale palette. This is the Nordic Skies eyeshadow palette. And as you can see, this is quite pastel. This is very neutral, and then you have these like soft lilacs, a baby blue, very soft green. This is like a silver with a hint of green to it, a very light, like yellowy gold, and then this is a very light peachy shade. The rest of it is quite neutral. I do have to say that with this eyeshadow palette, I don't really think, I don't really like this for doing like one look with it, because it becomes a bit bland and a bit muddy. But I just keep this around because these pastels are really nice, and I'm not sure if this is still around because I believe this was limited edition. But yeah, again, an interesting color story that not a lot of brands do. Now we get into the neutral palettes. This is the All Night Long palette, and this came out a little bit later than the other ones that I have. As you can see, this shade at the bottom has gotten a lot of love. This does have, again, only 1 or 2 mattes in it. Everything else is either a satin or a finish or a shimmer. But I do really like this color scheme, and that's why I got it. At the same time, they had another one, which is more like a daytime inspired one, but that I found to be a little bit too bland. But this has this really nice copper shade, which does add a little bit of interest to it. So if you're looking for nice neutral palettes, then Sleek has those as well. So moving on to more neutral eyeshadow palettes then. This is the Ona Torrell by Sleek, and this used to be my OG. Before I owned any other like high-end makeup, this was my go-to palette. Very soon after this came out though, I bought the Urban Decay Naked 2 and got hooked on that. But you get this like plummy shade, and this is quite neutral. You just get a couple of warm tones here at the top, but especially these deeper shades are quite cool toned. And my favorite shade here is this one. This is Taupe. This is an absolutely stunning shimmer. And you do get quite a lot of mattes in this. You get more mattes in this one than in most Sleek palettes, it seems. And you can tell this is a very old palette because it still has that waffle pattern. But in most of the shades, apart from these two here and the white, the waffle pattern is pretty much already disappearing. So that's how much I love this palette. Another very well-loved eyeshadow palette is this. This is the Oh So Special palette. And if you know how much I love the Naked 3 by Urban Decay, then you can already sort of take that back to this time when I was wearing this a lot. Again, quite cool toned here, neutral, but you get these really nice pinky shades, and those were the shades that whenever I use this palette a lot still, I always go for those shades, especially these two right here at the top. This has definitely got a dent in it, so yeah, these were really nice eyeshadows at the time, of course. Nowadays, maybe not, but if you are more on a bit of a budget, then these are really nice neutral eyeshadow palettes to try, if these are still around, because I'm not sure if they've discontinued this by now. Now, another eyeshadow palette that I have is an all matte palette. This is the Ultra Mattes version 2. There's also a version 1 of this, which is all brights. but I wasn't really into bright eyeshadow palettes at the time, and I think you can still get these. But the main reason why I bought it is because it has a matte forest green, which I find is a very difficult shade to find. Everything else in this palette is okay. I mean, it's not something very unique or unusual, but this matte forest green is one that I haven't found in a lot of other palettes, so this is definitely a good one to have. I also really like the teal, the navy blue, and the purple, so I go to this if I want a matte pop of color. So then we go into this eyeshadow palette, which is another one of their OG eyeshadow palettes, and this is very OG because I bought this right when sleek became a thing. This is the Storm palette, which is one of the first eyeshadow palettes they launched. You only get like 1 or 2 mattes in this again. Matte black, which came shattered at the time. And as you can see, this even still has the little gaps in between. I didn't realize that, but this is what sleek palettes used to look like. And this also didn't come with names. The little sheet with names in this has disappeared on me, and if it was already there to begin with. You can tell I love this very nice like purpley navy shade right here at the bottom, as well as this beigey shimmer. I use those a lot. Yeah, this was definitely a nice, more smoky, jewel-toned eyeshadow palette when I first got it. I don't reach for this a whole lot, but this has definitely some nostalgia behind it. So now we're getting into eyeshadow palettes that I keep for only a couple of shades. This is the Lagoon palette from the Aqua collection, and this was limited edition. It has a really nice bright coral. Look at that. It's matte as well. Then it has a really nice like matte, sort of like indigo shade. You get another couple of like really nice blues and greens in here. You get a nice like matte purple. That's what I keep this for. All of the other shades I pretty much have 1,000 times over in my eyeshadow palette collection. But this is definitely a more of a unique palette. Not one that you can do a full look with, I wouldn't say, but it has a couple of unique shades that if you want to do something very fun and colorful, this can definitely work. This next palette is one that I won in a giveaway. This is the Showstoppers palette, and this was again limited edition. And what this was, if I'm not mistaken, this palette features 1 shade of each of the best-selling palettes that they had at the time. And then the name sheet, I believe, is also like the name of the palette that the shade came from. This has some really nice metallics, especially these two right here at the top. This beige shade is really nice as well. Is this super special? Maybe not, but I keep it around for these like more metallic shades at the top. So then we have another OG sleek palette. This is the Acid palette. I didn't use this a whole lot, but there are a couple of fun shades in here, and I think you can guess why. I keep this around. It's because of those neons. I don't have any neon eyeshadow apart from this eyeshadow palette. So you get 4 neons right here in the middle, and then this purple could also be like a nice sort of highlighter-y marker kind of vibe this gets. I once used this neon green as an inner corner highlight, and I really, really liked it. So those are some nice neon eyeshadows, and I don't have any other neon eyeshadows. The rest of the palette, I feel kind of meh about, but I like those neons. And then last but not least, as if you thought you'd seen it all, oh yes, Sleek at one point in time did a limited edition all pink eyeshadow palette, and for some reason I thought I had to have it. Of course I don't wear this a whole lot anymore, but if I need a pink eyeshadow, I have them all right here in one place, so why get rid of it, right? You get some brighter pinks at the top, and then some more like corally pinks here into more like, I don't know, more raspberry shades, you could say. So this is very nice. You also get some softer like baby pinks here to the left. So this is a nice palette. This was limited edition, most definitely. You cannot get this anymore. This is called the Good Girl palette. So those are all of my sleek eyeshadow palettes. These are definitely eyeshadow palettes that I don't reach for a whole lot, but I keep them around because they all do something very specific in my collection. Those were all of my sleek palettes. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give a thumbs up if you liked it, and I would very much like it if you could subscribe to my channel, because I make new videos twice a week on Thursday and Sunday, and all of August I am doing eyeshadow palette related videos. So if you would like to see more of me talking about eyeshadow palettes and more of my eyeshadow palette collection, for instance, then stay tuned because more videos are coming up this month. And without further ado, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a very great day. Bye!